There is a decisive turning point in every relationship with a narcissist. It almost never arrives with noise, explosions, or a public confrontation. It does not announce itself with shouting, tears, or a dramatic scene that forces everyone to pay attention. More often, it arrives quietly, slipping in without warning, disguised as a small, ordinary moment that seems harmless on the surface. Yet this moment changes everything. It is the moment they realize that you see them, not just their surface level behavior. Not only the small lies, the mood swings, or the obvious manipulation, but something much deeper. You see their core. You see past the mask they carefully built and perfected over years. You see beyond the charm, the confidence, the smooth words, and the image they show the world. You catch a glimpse of the deep insecurity they have hidden for most of their life. A fear so old and so well protected that they never planned for anyone to notice it. In that instant, the invisible rules of the relationship change completely. Your eyes, which once provided admiration, reassurance, and validation, stop playing that role. They become something else entirely. They become a mirror. And this mirror reflects a truth the narcissist cannot survive emotionally. It reflects a reality they have spent years bearing under performance, control, and illusion. The impact of this shift is massive, even if it happens in silence. What once felt like a slow game of influence, quiet control, and subtle manipulation is suddenly overturned. The dynamic does not simply change direction. It transforms violently and permanently, as if the entire structure of their false world has been exposed to harsh light for the very first time. Their world, which once felt solid and dependable to them, was built on manipulation, fantasy, and constant external validation. Now it begins to shake. It trembles because someone has crossed the boundary that was never meant to be crossed. Someone has seen what was never meant to be seen. In that moment, the narcissist experiences a deep and primitive fear. To be truly seen is, to them, a kind of psychological death. It feels like annihilation. From this point forward, what happens next is not accidental. It is not random, and it is not driven by simple emotion or a brief loss of control. What follows is a predictable pattern, almost ritual-like, of psychological retaliation. They will use every method they know, not just to regain control, but to punish the person who dared to see through them. Every move they make, every word they choose, and every shift in behavior is part of a larger strategy. This is not a conflict they wanted, but it is one they feel forced to fight. Their carefully maintained inner world now feels under attack. And you, the person who noticed the truth, become both the target of their behavior and the witness to their unraveling. This is the narcissist's battlefield. It is a space ruled by manipulation, denial, distortion, and constant psychological pressure. The rules of this battlefield are written by fear and driven by an obsessive need to protect a fragile sense of identity. Before it is possible to fully understand how a narcissist reacts when their hidden self is exposed, an important question must be asked. Do they truly know who they are? Many people believe narcissists are simple villains who fully understand their flaws and take pleasure in hurting others. This belief misses something important. Narcissism is not just about arrogance or cruelty. It is about a complex mental structure designed to block truth and avoid vulnerability at all costs. The narcissist lives inside a lifelong project of self-deception. This is not a one-time lie, but a continuous effort to hide their weaknesses, fears, and emotional dependence. They hide these things not only from others, but also from themselves. They build psychological walls, distractions, alliances, and personal stories that support the illusion of strength and superiority. These structures are maintained daily, often without conscious thought. Narcissists are not completely unaware of cause and effect. On the surface, they can see that their actions create problems. They notice when people pull away, when arguments escalate, or when relationships collapse. They may even recognize patterns repeating in their life. However, the meaning they assign to these events is deeply distorted. Their mind is equipped with powerful defense systems whose only job is to protect the ego from shame. Instead of asking whether their behavior caused the damage, they activate mental processes that rewrite reality. These processes allow them to remain innocent in their own mind, no matter how destructive the outcome. One of the strongest tools they use is rationalization. Every harmful action is reinterpreted as justified. Every cruel word becomes a reasonable response. Every outburst is explained as a reaction to someone else's failure. In their story, they are not losing control. They are correcting you. They are teaching you. They are responding to disrespect, betrayal, or provocation that exists mostly in their imagination. Manipulation is reframed as intelligence. Deception becomes protection. Aggression is labeled honesty. In this inner narrative, they are always the misunderstood one, the victim, or the only person brave enough to speak the truth. This story is not just told to others, it is told internally over and over again to hold their identity together. Alongside rationalization exists projection, one of the most damaging and confusing defenses. Through projection, the narcissist takes their own flaws and places them onto you. They are not insecure, you are. They are not controlling, you are. They are not manipulative. You are the one playing games. This happens mostly outside of their awareness. Projection allows them to attack parts of themselves without admitting those parts exist. By assigning these traits to you, they justify their hostility and strengthen their sense of dominance. What looks like a conflict between two people is often an internal war being acted out externally. You become the stand-in for everything they cannot accept about themselves. You are turned into enemy territory in a battle that never truly belonged to you. At the core of all this is an extreme sense of entitlement. This entitlement is so deep that it feels disconnected from normal human rules. The narcissist truly believes that fairness, emotional responsibility, and accountability apply to others, not to them. Their needs are always more important. Their feelings are always more urgent. Their impulses are treated as truth. If they act without thinking, it is called being real. If they explode emotionally, it is seen as justified anger. If they hurt someone, it is because that person deserved it. Self-control feels unnecessary to them because, in their mind, the world should adjust itself to their needs. Deep inside, there may be brief flashes of awareness. In moments of breakdown, exhaustion, or rare honesty, they might admit they cause problems, but this awareness is short-lived. The shame attached to that truth is unbearable. Accepting responsibility would mean admitting that their pain comes from within, not from others. It would mean facing the reality they have been running from since childhood. That reality threatens their survival as they know it, so the defenses return quickly. Denial rebuilds the walls. The illusion is restored. This is why deep change is rare and why your awareness is so threatening. You are not just noticing behavior anymore. You are seeing the engine that drives it. Your understanding cuts through defenses that were designed to block logic, empathy, and truth. Your calm observation avoids the traps of guilt, confusion, and emotional chaos. Your steady awareness becomes a direct threat to their entire psychological structure. You are no longer reacting the way they expect. You are no longer confused. You are no longer searching for answers inside them, and that is dangerous to them. You are not holding up a mirror to their actions. You are reflecting the shame they have spent a lifetime avoiding. This silent recognition feels like an attack, even though you have done nothing aggressive at all. If this realization resonates with you, continuing on this path requires ongoing awareness. Understanding is not a single moment, it is a process. Each layer of clarity removes another illusion and returns another piece of your power. What comes next is not about confronting them or explaining yourself. It is about understanding so deeply that the entire dynamic changes without words. When the narcissist realizes what you now know, the danger increases. Your clarity feels freeing, but it also marks a sensitive moment. Awareness unlocks your psychological cage, but it also alerts the one who built it. To understand why this moment is so intense, you must recognize that this was never an equal relationship. It was a closed system designed to feed one identity at the expense of another. And the moment you wake up inside that system, everything changes. A relationship with a narcissist is not a partnership in any true sense. It is a psychological system where they place themselves at the center and require everyone else to revolve around them, reflecting their importance back to them at all times. You were never seen as a whole, independent person with your own needs, limits, or inner life. Instead, you were assigned a role. You became a function rather than a human being. You were the emotional regulator, the stabilizing force, the calming voice, the reassuring presence, the approving look that helped them feel real and valuable. You existed as the mirror that reflected their worth in a way they could emotionally survive. This silent and unspoken arrangement, where you slowly gave up pieces of your reality to protect their fragile inner balance, became the foundation on which their world was built. The moment you truly understand this, even quietly and internally, that agreement is broken forever. It does not need to be announced. It does not need confrontation. It is voided simply by awareness, and it can never be restored to what it once was. This awareness rarely arrives in a single moment of clarity. More often, it forms slowly through pain, confusion, and exhaustion. It grows from a long series of contradictions, betrayals, broken promises, and moments that never fully made sense. It is the eventual collapse of cognitive dissonance, that draining mental struggle where you tried to hold two opposing realities at the same time. On one side was the charming, loving, attentive version of them. On the other side was the cold, dismissive, manipulative behavior that surfaced repeatedly. For a long time, your mind worked tirelessly to connect these two versions, to explain them, to excuse them, to believe there was a logical bridge between them. You made allowances. You blamed stress, trauma, misunderstandings, or yourself. You questioned your memory. You doubted your intuition. You minimized your pain. All of this effort was made to preserve a fragile illusion that allowed the relationship to continue functioning. But eventually, a point is reached where the illusion can no longer hold. Something shifts. The truth becomes too clear to ignore. Once that inner line is crossed, nothing can return to how it was before. At that point, you begin to see the seriousness of the situation without distortion. You no longer search for explanations or excuses. The narcissist's true nature becomes visible, not because of one dramatic incident, but because of consistent patterns that repeat over time. These patterns no longer require interpretation. They speak for themselves. This is the real turning point. From here, what matters is not your arguments, your explanations, or your attempts to be understood. What matters is who you begin to be. The change is subtle and often invisible to people on the outside, but to the narcissist, it is enormous. Your energy shifts, your emotional reactions soften, slow down, or disappear altogether. The emotional hooks that once pulled you into confusion and self-doubt stop working. The tactics that once controlled you lose their effectiveness. You stop reacting. You stop taking the bait. Comments that once sent you into spirals of anxiety, self-defense, or overthinking now fall flat. Passive-aggressive remarks are met with silence, not as a tactic, not as punishment, but as a natural outcome of clarity. You no longer feel the urge to explain yourself, to justify your feelings, or to chase understanding from someone who is unwilling or incapable of giving it. This quiet withdrawal of emotional energy does not feel neutral to the narcissist. To them, it signals the collapse of their control. And it is at this exact point that the most dangerous phase begins. You no longer get pulled into endless circular arguments designed to drain you, confuse you, and weaken your sense of reality. Instead, you begin to embody what is often called the gray rock. Your emotional presence becomes plain, neutral, and unresponsive. You offer no dramatic reactions, no emotional charge, no reflective surface for them to admire or attack. You stop providing the shine they depend on to see themselves. The habits that once sustained the dynamic, explaining, defending, justifying your existence, slowly fade away. As they disappear, something unexpected happens inside you. The constant background anxiety that once filled every moment of your life begins to ease. In its place emerges a strange calm. It may feel unfamiliar, even unsettling at first, but it is also deeply freeing. For an empathic person, this calm is nothing short of revolutionary. You are no longer living in constant anticipation of their next mood change, their next subtle threat, their next attempt to destabilize you. You step off the emotional roller coaster that once defined your daily life. Your steadiness becomes quiet and grounded. And this is something the narcissist cannot tolerate. They are acutely sensitive to shifts in energy. They notice everything. Your anger once fed them. Your tears reassured them of their power. Your confusion confirmed their superiority. Now, your calm creates an emptiness where their source of validation once existed. This emptiness feels like a void to them, and that void is terrifying. Your awakening, while silent and internal, is a profound victory, but it is also dangerous. You cannot openly celebrate it because the narcissist interprets any shift in your awareness as a direct threat. Your clarity reflects back to them the emptiness they have spent their entire life running from. Simply by not reacting, you are confronting them. Your emotional independence becomes a quiet declaration of autonomy, and they feel compelled to crush it. This is when their behavior intensifies. Manipulation turns into control. Control turns into psychological aggression. They cannot tolerate the presence of someone who is calm, clear, and no longer dependent on them. Your clarity breaches the walls of denial they have spent years building. Being repeatedly told that your reality is wrong by someone who is utterly convinced of their own correctness is deeply isolating. It can make you feel alone, even when others are present. Every truth you express seems to hit a wall and bounce back unchanged. You may have been accused of overreacting, told you are too sensitive, or made to feel foolish for noticing patterns others ignore. If this feels familiar, it is essential to acknowledge your experience. Your awareness is not weakness, it is strength. Recognizing what you see is the first step toward reclaiming ownership of your inner world. The calm and grounded version of you that emerges now is perceived as an act of war. Your steady presence and clear perception are mirrors the narcissist cannot stand to face. The tools they once used to control your